Hi friends, it's Kaylee from the Mini Homestead. So this week it is super hot outside. We have a couple of days where we're hitting those high 90s and we just have awful humidity right now. So I make dinner for my family every single night, and that is a challenge in the summer, especially because my oven and my stove make it so hot in here. So I'm trying to think of different dinners that I can still make here at home that use my oven and my stove either not at all or as little as possible, where I can still give my family a home cooked meal. So I thought I would show you guys what I have kind of come up with for this week. So my goal is to use, if I'm using my stove, I'm only going to use one, maybe two burners at a time. I'm going to try to avoid my oven altogether. And if I do need an oven, I'm actually going to try to use our Kamado Joe. I've done it a couple times last year in the summer and it worked pretty well. So I'm hoping that I can do that again this time. And then I'm also going to try to use our crock pot instead. So that way I can keep the heat outside and not in my kitchen and not circulating through my house. My air conditioner doesn't have to work as hard. But I thought I'd show you guys what I've come up with, and maybe if you're going through a hot spell right now too as well, these might be some good ideas for you to try so that you are still able to cook at home but keep the heat outside. So first things first, I need to head out to our garden to go get one of the ingredients for this first dinner. It is going to be a basil, tomato, onion, and garlic pasta. So I'm going to head out and grab some basil from our garden, but I also have onion and garlic inside from the garden that I harvested earlier in the year. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those, and then I will head inside. Now this year I planted some of my basil, or all of my basil, with my tomatoes. It's just supposed to be a deterrent for pests because of the smell. So I thought, hey, this might be a good idea. I never have luck with marigolds out in my garden. The one year that I actually did plant them, it attracted hornworms. So that was fun because everyone tells you that marigolds keep the hornworms away, but I had the total opposite, so I don't do that. So I was actually thinking of doing some culinary herbs out here, and to be honest, we didn't have any pests this year. They're looking kind of pathetic right now, my tomatoes, because they're getting to their last limb. But in all honesty, I think the only problem that we actually had with our tomatoes was overspray from the field that's right behind our house. I think that's what caused all of this. I actually thought it was septoria blight, but in actuality, I think it was overspray. So yeah, that's about the only big problem we had, but I'm just grabbing quite a handful here of some fresh basil. I just want a lot of flavor in this dish. I've made it once before and it did not have enough flavor, so I am trying to add as much flavor as possible. So I'm just gonna grab as much of this as I can, and then whatever I don't use, I'm actually gonna just throw in the freezer, because I'm planning on freeze drying my herbs this year to help keep all those nutrients and that flavor in them. So it definitely won't go to waste. I will be using it in one way or another. See, so I don't know if you guys can tell, I've been out here less than 5 minutes and I'm already sweating. That's how hot it is. That's how humid it is out today. So that is why I'm making these dinners like I am, because I don't want it being hot in my house. So yeah, it's nasty out. I don't like it at all. Okay, let's grab an onion. I think I might actually use some of my smaller ones for this recipe, because I can always add more and I can always use the bigger ones for later. So I'll grab a couple little ones. And then I need some garlic as well. I have not taken the heads off of these yet, or the greens off of these yet. I've been meaning to braid them, but you know, 3 kids, it's hard to find time to do this. But I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. So go ahead and grab one of these. There we go. That looks pretty good. And we'll head off to the kitchen. So here's what's needed for this meal. I've got some organic vegetable broth, and then I've got my cherry tomatoes. These are my 4 that are left from my tiny little plant that I had. And then I've got the fresh basil that I just went out and picked. I've got my onions, my garlic from the garden, and then I've got some organic spaghetti here. So along with that, we're gonna put all this into one pot and get this simmering. So let's get started.
So the first thing I like to do for a meal like this is to make sure that I have everything prepped that needs prepped. So for this particular meal, I needed to have the onion and the garlic all chopped up. So what I'm aiming for with this onion in particular is no bigger than bite size or even smaller. We love the flavor of onion, but we do not like big chunks of onion in the dishes that we're eating. So I always try to chop it up as finely as I possibly can. I know these knife skills are excellent, so, just do as I say, not as I do. But I like to have everything chopped up nicely, so I went ahead and got the rest of this onion prepped up and cut up. And then when I'm done with something like this, I like to put it all into one bowl instead of, like 50 bowls like some people will do. I'll actually put the garlic in that bowl as well. So here I am just getting that garlic prepped. I end up using 4 cloves this time in this meal. You can use more or less depending on whatever your heart desires. So we like garlic, so I don't mind adding a little bit more. I love this trick here with the knife, just putting a little pressure on that clove and it peels the garlic very nicely. So it makes it nice and easy when you need to go and chop this up. Now when you do chop up the garlic, make sure you are making it a lot finer because garlic can be very overpowering.
The other thing that I really like about this meal is that all I have to do is put everything into the pot and then just mix it all up and it's good to go. It just does all the cooking in there for me. It simmers for a little bit. I check on it every once in a while, but other than that, it's pretty hands-off. So it makes it nice and easy for me, which I like.
All right, time to get everything together. So I'm using a Dutch oven here. So first up, I have the vegetable broth. You could definitely use chicken broth instead if that's just what you have on hand or if you want that flavor. I could have totally used it here. I usually use chicken broth, but I had vegetable broth instead, so I went ahead and used all of this, but you'll want to dump either one, whichever one you're using, dump all of that into your pot. Next up is our spaghetti. Again, you're going to use the entire box of spaghetti, which makes it nice and easy, so all you have to do is just dump everything into the pot. Here is that fresh basil that you guys saw me picking earlier in the video. And then this is the garlic and onion mixture that I was chopping up earlier, just dumping all of that into there as well. And then next up is the cherry tomatoes. A few of these are from my garden, but the rest are just from the store. Here I have some red pepper chili flakes. Just add whatever you would like, depending on how spicy you would like this meal to taste. And then last but not least, a little bit of salt to this dish. You can definitely add black pepper, but we're just not fans of pepper, so I leave it out. And then you'll want to put a lid on this and let it simmer. Once you get it up to a nice boil, I go ahead and turn down the heat to low, and then I just let this cook until all of that liquid is gone. I put the lid back on this, and then I just check on it a couple of times throughout just to see how it's doing. But then once I see that all the liquid is gone, like you can see here, then I know that the pasta is ready to serve. Last but not least, I love to top this dish off with some grated Parmesan. You can add as little or as much as your little heart desires. But once you are done, you're gonna have yourself an awesome summer dish that used very little heat in your kitchen. I hope you enjoy.